guys, Bookish Reads here, and today we are doing the Supernatural book tag part 2. So basically with this one, I recorded like 3 different parts because it kept messing up. So we're just going to record the entire thing, and then I'll edit in the parts for the other ones. So I guess we can start with my intro. So the book that I'm going to choose for this prompt is A Christmas Extravaganza by Faith Lane. I'm not just choosing this book because, like, we're friends. I actually really loved this book, and I read it in, like, a day. So, yeah, I love this book so much. Everyone Loves a Clown, a book that kept you up all night. A book that kept me up all night is actually Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I love this book. It is an Alice in Wonderland retelling about the Queen of Hearts and how she became the Queen of Hearts. Follows a girl named Kath, and all she loves to do is bake, and her dad's like this really important person, and her and the king have kind of like grown up together, so they want to get her an arranged marriage, and it's this whole thing, and she finds love, and it's this beautiful, beautiful story, and I love it, and it kept me up all night because it was so good. All Hell Breaks Loose Part 1, a book that broke your heart. So a book that broke my heart would be Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This book actually made me cry because when I read this, a pet of mine actually passed away, so I read this right after, and it was a really bad choice because there is a scene towards the beginning that there's this little girl, she's probably 5 or 6, and she's finally starting to understand the concept of death and like what happens to all of us eventually, and she starts to worry about her cat. And I related so much, and I was sitting in my room reading this, bawling my eyes out. But it was honestly such an amazing story, and I loved it so much. But basically in this, we follow a family who has just moved to a new town, and they discover that there's this pet cemetery in their backyard, and they may or may not eventually go and check it out, and stuff happens. There is pets coming alive, and it is this amazing, amazing thriller that Stephen King wrote. This was actually my first Stephen King book. Mystery Spot, a book that felt repetitive. So a book that felt repetitive is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is about a girl with OCD and anxiety, and I love this book so much, but it did feel repetitive because of the thought she's thinking, and that it's a spiral. It keeps coming back, and she keeps thinking about it. So in that sense, it was repetitive, but it needed to be repetitive in order to make the story. This is this is the best book I've ever read about a girl with anxiety, and I related so much to this book, and it hit really close to home for me. A new character that started out as somebody you disliked but turned into somebody you like. Strange the Dreamer by Lanny Taylor. There is this one girl named Minya in it, and I started out absolutely hating her because I didn't understand why she was the way she was and why she was the antagonist. I just didn't like her. And then I realized like her motives and why she did it and why she is how she is, and I honestly really feel for her, and I started to actually like her and understand her more. Swan Song, an ending that felt unfinished.
Hey everybody, editing me here. So I already talked about Wilder Girls twice, but I guess I'm going to talk about it again because it cut off. Wild Girls felt unfinished. I know that it's a really unpopular opinion, but I love it. She hasn't really said anything about a second book, but honestly, it was such a good book, and I loved it. There's a lot of open ends and like loose ends that she didn't really tie up at the end, but other than that, it is a Lord of the Flies retelling, and it is really, really good. And I would recommend it to anybody that likes gory, dystopian kind of books.
The French Mistake, a funny book with a dark twist. I don't read many funny books, so this one is going to be a little bit difficult because I just don't really read comedy books. Yeah, so I'm actually going to pass on this one. I just don't really read any funny books, so I'm going to pass on this one. The Man Who Knew Too Much, a character that made a huge mistake. So a character that I'm going to use for this is Ren from A Heart So Fierce and Broken. Throughout the book, he made a lot of decisions that I understand he had to do it because he was king, but at the same time, he hurt a lot of people that cared about him because of those decisions. So I don't really know how I feel about him. We'll see what happens in book 3, but I just finished A Heart So Fierce and Broken the other day, and I loved it. Reading is fundamental, dramatic character change. So it cut off with me saying this one last time, but a dramatic character change would be Julian from Caraval. Basically, there's a scene at the very end where we start to find out the truth about him, and I'm not going to give spoilers, but let's just say that if any of you have read this book, you will understand what I mean, why I'm using this for dramatic character change. But for a short summary, Caraval is set in this magical world where these two sisters have been wanting to go to this kind of like giant game that this magician hosts. And you get put in the game and you have to figure out, you've got clues and stuff, you got to figure it out. And you can either play it or you can watch it. And so they've asked him, because they are daughters of this really important person that I can't think of the title, but they ask him, can we come? And finally, when it's her sister's wedding, they decide they're going to go. Both of them are set up for arranged marriages in the future, but the sisters' names are Scarlett and Tessa. By the way, I'm really bad at like summarizing books, but I'm getting better. So they go, and a lot of stuff has been happening. Her sister actually gets kidnapped, and she has to go and find her sister and save her sister. And I'm not spoiling you, it's in the plot, it's in the book summary. Um, but yeah, it's really magical and I love it, and it is such a magical book. I honestly hate the characters, but the world makes up for it so much. So if you want to feel like you have been transported into a whole different world, please consider picking up Caraval. Sacrifice, a scene that really sticks out. So a scene that really sticks out is in Marissa Meyer's Renegades. I loved this book. I love any book by Marissa Meyer. But basically, there's two characters, Noah and Adrian, and they are both superheroes. Nova has to go undercover to become a superhero, kind of like a spy, because she's actually an anarchist. But there is one scene between the two of them, as you know, romance shall develop. It's kind of a given. But there is this one scene, and Adrian's like superpower is he's an artist, so anything he can draw comes to life, and she can't dream because of her what she was born with, like her like anarchist power. So he does this whole thing for her. I don't really want to spoil it because it's the best scene in the book, but he does this whole thing for her using his artistic abilities and brings this whole world to life for her, and it is the best scene. It is honestly so beautiful, and I loved that scene. An infuriating character. Who do I hate? I hate somebody. Oh, yeah. So I've got two different books we're going to talk about with 4 characters. So the first one I'm going to talk about is The Fault in Our Stars. I hate both of these characters with so much passion and so much anger towards them. So I'm really not going to get into it because I don't feel like ranting in this video. But if you want, I might have a rant video on these next 2 books. But all I'm really going to say is that they are so selfish and entitled just because they have cancer, which I understand it is a disease and it could kill them, and it is very, very serious, but
So the other book that cut me off is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I really don't want to about this for the 3rd time, but there's going to be just as much passion in it because I absolutely hate this book. The characters are naive and don't care about anybody else. They're selfish, they're whiny, they're annoying. I absolutely hate them. And then the entire 200 or 300 pages is all set in a single day. This girl is about to get deported, and she's all over here bitching about this guy who's in a car accident. Girl, what? Oh my god, I honestly hate this book so much.
So, a new perspective on the character, I'm actually going to go with in Daisy Jones and the Six, there's this one character whose name is Camilla, and the entire book she's talked about in this good light. She is talked about so, like, I don't really want to give it away, but she's talked about like this, she's this perfect person, and then at the end we find out something, and if you've read Daisy Jones and the Six, not to spoil it, it'll all make sense why she's talked about so perfectly. it'll all make sense why she's talked about like this, and we don't actually get to know the real Camilla. So yeah, I'm gonna say Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is about a band who is together, and then this one girl who can really, really sing, and they come together and they start having this band together, and it's based off in the 70s. I don't know if you can see that, but it's written in script form, so it's a really, really quick read, and I absolutely loved every single page. Also, the audiobook, which I got for free because of the free trial, the audiobook actually has a full cast of characters, so this book is absolutely amazing, and I want a physical copy. Don't Call Me Shirley, an unseen character that is revealed. It's gold. I'm not ready yet, so I can't use it for this video, but it's beautiful. I remember what I did for the character that started out as somebody I don't like. The guy from The Shining was what I said originally, which is still very true because I liked him once he got psychotic, but before that he was bland and had no personality. So, yeah. So for this one, I'm going to use Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer. There's a character in this book. I'm not going to go into depth for it, but there's a character in this book who has been talked about the whole book, and then they finally find him, and it's like, oh my god, you found him. I don't know. You see him, and I'm not really going to try and spoil it. I kind of spoiled it saying that, but, like, also I kind of didn't spoil it. It's weird, but this is the second installment in the Renegades trilogy. Supernatural, an adult twist on a childhood classic. So the childhood classic I'm going to go with is 12 Dancing Princesses. This is House of Salt and Sorrows, but it is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling. And 12 Dancing Princesses is a childhood classic as we all know it, but the adult twist on this is that this family believes that they are cursed, and there is murder and gore and all these things keep happening, and this one sister just wants answers, and she just wants to know why. So I'm going to go with House of Salt and Sorrows.
She's running. She's running in her sleep. So the next prompt is a book that left you desperate for the sequel.
So the book that left me desperate for the second is actually Marked, which is a House of Night book. You can't really see the cover. There you go. This isn't the original cover. I don't know why my cover is different on the Kindle, but I loved this book. It has got vampires in it, and there's this whole cliffhanger on the end, and I was desperate for the sequel because this book is so good. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. Thank you so much for Faith for tagging me, but I'm going to tag Books and Chocoholic to do this. I hope you all enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making it. Thank you. Round of applause to Faith for joining us for a portion of this video. Stay tuned for the bloopers. They are funny because I just watched them and I was dying laughing. So bloopers are going to be right after this, and then my little normal outro. But thank you all so much for watching. I love you all, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye! Recording. Oh my gosh, it sounds down. I heard that. That's cool. That's what it did one time, and then you were like, what was that? Oh, I didn't know it did that. No, I have it set so it will. So when I do thumbnails and stuff. Okay, I'll be quiet. You're gonna be quiet? This is awkward because, like, you can see me. Like, you can see what the camera sees. Ah. No, like I wasn't when I used to see that when I watched the video. Whoa. All right, I should probably start recording. This is weird. Right. I'm annoyed that Faith left. All right, cut off. She didn't really. Hey guys. I need to, I can scream. Scream it. You can count. I know. It's so cute. So a character that made a huge mistake. I'm going back and forth. I'm gonna restart this whole thing. I'm so bad. And I'm just gonna be like, just use D-roll. He screws up everything. You haven't published it yet. I should do like a whole book tag just using the Dark 3. Please do.
I should make like a dark 3 book tag.
So a character that I'm going to use, but I don't. Yeah. We'll end that somewhere around there. Reading is fundamental. Dramatic character change. Bum, 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 D-roll. Bum, bum, bum.
Yes. D-roll or Chrissy, really. Because Chrissy's like so innocent, then she meets D-roll and that gets all screwed up. When you meet D-roll, any trace of being innocent goes right out the window. That's the song.
People are downstairs slamming doors, so I'm like, prepare to go on mute in like 2 seconds.
Is this gonna be one of the times you hang up on me for like 20 minutes? I was thinking that one too.
Come here. Oh.
Gracious, the things are in their body.
Scarlet. Tessa. Oh no. Julian.
Ooh.
I know. He's hot.
You know what they say about people with J names.
Yes, we do. So the book that I'm going to choose for this prompt is A Christmas Extravaganza by Faith Lane. I know that there's like this huge glare. Yes, dog. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna record. Be quiet. No.